A peaceful scene by a gentle canal. The Industrial Revolution must have been all quiet and tranquil. Unfortunately not. It was today's equivalent of a motorway, cramped and stinking of horse poo. As the Industrial Revolution grew, it began to be clear that the transportation of raw materials and finished products was vital. As roads were badly kept, cars hadn't been invented yet, and steam power wasn't good enough, factory owners and mine owners turned to a Roman time idea: man-made rivers, or canals. Here we see a traditional narrowboat and wharves, where goods would be loaded and unloaded onto horses and carts. Engineers faced a problem: how to cross canals across valleys and rivers. Again, the Romans had beat them to it: aqueducts, tall bridges capable of the transportation of large bodies of water. Here we see the loading bay, where goods could be dropped from above or picked out with the crane. Nowadays, narrowboats are used for pleasurable tourist trips, but back in the day they were used for anything and everything. But how did they actually work? The first boats to travel canals were flyboats, wide, flat-bottomed boats pulled by a horse every 4 miles. As the Industrial Revolution picked up speed, paddle boats began appearing across the country. At this point, Britain was in canal mania, a huge network of canals spanning over 4,000 miles. Powered by a steam engine that drove a large paddle in the water, these boats were elegant and speedy. But at first, people didn't think that it would work. That was until 1807, when Robert Fulton travelled the Hudson River 300 miles in 62 hours on his steamboat. However, this was a last resort, because 3 years earlier, Robert Trevithick had pioneered the first steam locomotive to run on rails. In other words, the first steam train. And in 1825, the first commercial railway opened, the Stockton and Darlington Railway. Although they soon overrode canals, they were first only meant to be an add-on to canals, to continue where they left off, and stations were even called wharves. By 1840, canals were seriously threatened by railways, and wealthy railway owners began to buy canals off struggling canal owners. But let's take a look at how trains actually worked. Coal would be shovelled into the firebox, which would then heat the water via a series of hot pipes. The water evaporates and the steam travels along a pipe that ends in a piston that it will push to turn the wheels. Meanwhile, the smoke comes out the top and the excess steam comes out the bottom. Similarly to canals, trains couldn't cross over rivers and deep valleys, so engineers built impressive bridges called viaducts. Like this one, in Headstow, Peak District. Complementing viaducts, engineers built tunnels or cuts through the mountains to help trains pass through rocky terrain. Sometimes you need a combination of tunnels, more tunnels, and viaducts to compensate for the hard terrain. Trains weren't only used to transport freight. The wealthy could enjoy pleasurable trips out in luxurious coaches fitted with sofas, bars, and floor-to-ceiling windows. Meanwhile, the poor had much less pleasurable trips in open wagons getting sprayed by hot coal and steam. But in 1844, a railway regulation was passed to ensure safer travel. Railway tracks were so much easier and quicker to lay than digging a canal that by 1863, over 16,000 miles of track spanned the length of Britain, and £3 billion was invested in Britain's railway system.